preparation, what are my expectations, so you can lock in some amazing profits in the market. Come join us over on YouTube. We are officially live. And the one thing I'll say is if you were here Monday and Tuesday to get the analysis and the game plan, you could have made very good profits in the market. We've been spot on the last couple of days, right? Yesterday was getting short on the SPY, up around 430.50. Yeah, was it 430? No, it was 426.50. That was our short zone yesterday, was 426.50. That was also our high a day before we just completely dumped down to the low 420s. So yesterday was an amazing day. Monday, even though it was choppy, it was still a really good day overall. But yesterday, I mean, perfect day. So we're going to give you guys the game plan. We're going to break everything down. We're going to make sure you guys understand where the market could be going and why, right? So you guys have a full, clear understanding on how to approach the market today to put yourself in the best possible position to make some money. Yo, what's up on the YouTube? You got Tyler. What's up, brother, man? Good morning. RDS Rosa Detailing. Good morning, boss. How we doing? Before we officially dive into it, let's do a quick little mic check, right? Make sure that my lips match with the audio. I don't know if it is. Make sure the stream's good quality. Make sure we're all set, ready to rock and roll. And if so, we'll roll the intro in the community with students, and we'll go ahead and officially dive into it. Mic check. It just seems like there's a delay for some reason. I don't know. Not on TikTok, over on YouTube. And again, if you want the full interactive stream and you're here on TikTok, come over to YouTube. Link is in the bio, or just go to YouTube and type in Alpha Day Trading. And we are live. Live, baby. Live. All right, let's get that intro going then, guys. We are all set, ready to rock and roll, ready to have an amazing day. We're already up like $500 on the day, which is amazing. We've been crushing it this week, guys. It's been an awesome, awesome, awesome week. Boop, boop, boop. All right. We're getting going, baby. We're rolling the intro. We're going to dive into it here in about 3, 2.5, 2. Just bear with me. Good morning. Oh, do we got the audio? Oh, there it is. There's the audio. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up and what's going on, traders inside the chat? Happy hump day. We are back. And boy, am I excited. Like, why would I be excited to be in the market today? I don't know. Just so far for the month of October, we've all been crushing it. So far, the market's been hot. So far, people are crushing goals. I don't know. There's nothing to be excited about. Just another amazing day in the market and another amazing day full of opportunity to make money, right? Just no big deal. I'm freaking fired up. I'm excited. I'm ready to attack it. And again, today is the 3rd day of October, guys, and we have been on fire so far these past couple of days, locking in some amazing profits across the board. And the reason why you guys are making amazing profits is because you're taking amazing trades, right? You're doing the right things. You're coming in, getting prepared, letting the market come to you, identifying proper setups. You're executing. You're being great managers of risk. You're taking profit. You're getting paid. You're doing everything you should be doing. That's why you are making money in the market. So keep up the amazing work, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have another amazing day, day 3 of October, and let's crushing it. because I'm on fire, you're on fire, and I'm loving the market that we have right now. It's been super simple to identify some amazing trades across the board, whether you're trading futures, options, penny stocks. There has been opportunity left and right. So if you're inside the chat, guys, come on now. I've just gave you the 2-minute intro, and I have yet to get a good morning. Hit your boy with a big old alpha day trading good morning, and then let's dive into it. Got about 2 minutes, and we'll go ahead and start it on up. Jeez. Weak. There we go. I had to do a little bit of a switcherooski that I forgot to do. All right. Start diving into it here in a moment. I got to get those good mornings first. Come on now. Let's go. Jeez. Hall Speed, what's up? Good morning, RDS again. Good morning, Ed Nevis. What's up? You got Burskirt TV. Made about $600 on a put that you put out on the SPY yesterday. You're welcome. Yeah, 426.50. Shorting the market below that zone, and it was a great day to make some money in the market. Those contracts that we were in, that we obviously took profit on, end of the day, they were up like 400 or 500%. Unreal. Did I take it for a full 500%? No. Made like 15% on it, but green's green. I'll take a base hit. But yeah, yesterday was an amazing day. It was just exceptional, right? Waiting for the market to come to you. Took about 30 minutes, but we had some really, really good trades. So congratulations. You made $600 just from the live stream, just getting the analysis, the breakdown, the game plans, just on the SPY. So good work. And again, we had some other profits across the board as well. Penny stocks have been hot. One of our top traders inside of chat made like $6 grand yesterday, I believe. Absolutely unreal. So we saw some big time profits across the board. And today's going to be another amazing big time profit day. But before we go ahead and start, okay, guys, how do we make money in the market? Right? I'm talking about another big day, another great day full of profits. At the end of the day, how do we make money consistently in the market? What the hell is this? This is weird. Okay. Uno momento. I'm having a hard time with all this. Give me one sec. Boop. 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 All right, cool. We're good. All right, let's see what you guys said. All right, so Kevin said, don't tease me like this. I'm teasing you. Taking the best trades. There you go, Trader Adam. That's it, right? A byproduct of taking amazing trades is amazing profits. That's it. There's so many traders come in with the mindset of, I'm going to make $1,000 today. Oh, that's great to have a goal. Don't get me wrong. It's fantastic to have a goal. But when you're like, man, I'm going to make $1,000. Where's that trade where I can make $1,000 on? And that's your mindset coming into the day, and you're chasing money, right? Let's be really conscious here in the present moment, looking for quality, exceptional trades. You're going to take subpar trades. You're going to see subpar results. When you come in with the mindset of making money, you tend to lose money. When you come in with the mindset of, I'm going to take great trades today. I want to brag about how good of a trader I am. I want to be able to show the world that, look at this freaking trade. Who cares about the money? Look at this trade. Entry, exit, spot on. Phenomenal trade. And then look at the money that followed, right? 2 grand, 3 grand. So the way you make money in the market is coming in a solid mindset of, I'm here to take only the best trades possible. If there's no fantastic trades, I don't trade. If there's phenomenal setups and phenomenal trades, I get prepared and I simply react and execute. And I know that on average, a byproduct of doing that consistently is what? Money. Profits in your account. So have the mindset, have the focus of only taking the best of the best trades. All right, let's rock and roll. Let's go ahead and dive into it, and let's make it happen. So we always start with the morning overview. What do we got going on today? What do you need to be mindful of? Like yesterday, it was Jolt's data at 10 a.m., right? If you were playing calls through Jolt's data, you got absolutely destroyed. But Josh, I didn't know we had data. Well, good thing you're here. We're going to break everything down and make sure you're mindful and fully prepared and up to speed with what's going on the day and those times that you guys got to be mindful of. So let's start with the economic calendar for today. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we got going on? We do have data dropping quite a bit. Again, it's a pretty data-heavy day today, guys. 9:45 a.m., so 15 minutes after the market open. You got some medium importance data. It's data that can move the market, but not necessarily a big reaction. You do have S&P Global Services, PMI data, dropping at 9:45, okay? And then here at 10 o'clock, you do have some key important data. Just like yesterday, we had Jolts. Today, you have ISM Services PMI. This is of high importance. This is data that will move the market. We said the same thing yesterday about Jolts. Jolts is data that will move the market. Did anybody go take a look at the SPY yesterday? Right at 10 a.m. when Jolts data was released? Straight down and then fade all freaking day. And it was impressive because this zone right here, we had like 4 resistance levels. Jolts drops and then drops the market. And then from there, we're just shooting at 10 a.m. It's ISM Services PMI, just like yesterday. Be very mindful of that. So the first 30 minutes, guys, you got to be super like hands-on. Like when I say hands-on, I don't mean like hands-on like trading. I mean hands-on like finger on the trigger, be super dialed in, right? Because you got a lot of data the first 30 minutes. You know, 15 minutes in, you have S&P Global Composite PMI data. And then 15 minutes after that, you have ISM data, right? 10:05, you got Fed Schmidt speaking, right? It's a medium importance. At 10:30, you have more data. You got Fed Bowman speaking today. You got crude oil imports. Again, that's not the type of data that moves the market. But again, you can see it's a pretty data-heavy day. You got Fed Schmidt at 10:05. You know, again, 5 minutes after we get ISM Services PMI data. And then 11:25, you got Fed Bowman speaking. And at 10:30, you got Fed Goolsbee speaking. So again, when you got Jay Powell speaking, yes, be mindful that moves the market. But I can't tell you how many times I've been in the market. One of these Fed members are speaking in the market like rips 4 or 5 points or drops heavily. So you got to be super mindful, okay? So what times do you have to be extremely mindful for today? Well, 9:45, okay? 15 minutes out of the gate, 9:45, okay? 10 o'clock, most definitely, right? ISM Services PMI dropping at 10. 10:05, you got Fed Schmidt speaking. 10:30, you got Fed Goolsbee speaking. And then at 11:25, you got Fed Bowman speaking. So what I always recommend, guys, is go right into your chart, grab yourself a little line tool, and go mark up those amps, right? Go mark up 10 o'clock, okay? And you can do this for just the important data, high important data. High important data today, ISM Services PMI, okay? Medium important data, S&P Global Composite. Could that move the market? Yes, but is it going to move the market like, you know, ISM Services, Jolts, CPI, PPI, interest rate decision, FOMC press conference? No, but still be mindful of it. But then be mindful that at 10:05, 11:30, and 11:25, you do have Fed members speaking today. So 10 o'clock again today is a time they got to be super mindful of. So what do I always recommend? That if you're in a trade 2 to 3 minutes before that data drop, what do I recommend? One of two things. Hard stop in the system or finger on the trigger, ready to sell. I always recommend still put a hard stop in there, right? But if the market moves very quickly, very erratically, you're going to experience a lot of slippage with that fill because the market's going to move very quick. So again, I just recommend being flat. Yesterday, I was in a trade on the SPY. I closed it 1 minute before Jolts. And I was actually in puts. And those puts went 500% yesterday. 500%. I made 15%. Man, why'd you not hold it? That's the undisciplined thing to do. That is the non-professional thing to do, because that could have easily shot up $2 against me, and I could have lost 80% of my options premium. Why would I want to do that? Why do I want to take the risk? Why do I want to? If I want to gamble, I'd rather go to the Hard Rock. Right? They'll buy me drinks and food. Some masseuse will come over and massage you while you gamble your life away. Right? I don't want to gamble. This is a career. This is a job. I'm here to make money consistently and do it strategically. And so holding through that data drop is very risky, especially with 20 contracts. So I closed it, made 15%. The market dumped, right? Beautiful drop on down. Could have been 400 or 500%, but do the right thing. So here again today, do the right thing. If you're in a trade, you have one of two options, right? Hold up in the system to mitigate your risk just in case, or be flat. Wait for the data to drop, see how the market reacts, and then go from there, right? There's no reason to take extra risk if you don't need to take extra risk. So be mindful of those times today. It is another very data-heavy day today, guys. And before we continue, if you guys are on TikTok right now and you want to see the charts, more of an interactive stream, head on over to YouTube, go to Alpha Day Trading, and join our live stream right now over on YouTube. Again, it's Alpha Day Trading, and the links are in my bio here on TikTok as well. All right. So that's what we got going on today. Those timestamps that you guys need to be super mindful of. Now let's go ahead and talk about the SPY. Let's take a deep dive into the technicals and try and get a sense of direction, some clarity. Where could the market be going to next? Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of zones that I want you guys to be super mindful of. Okay. First zone is going to be between 424.49 and 425.04. All right, that's the first zone that I want you guys to go ahead and identify. Gap up open, low of day bounce, low of day bounce, low of day bounce, yesterday's opening price. Okay, so that's 5 points off that zone. That's going to be a valid overhead zone of resistance because we're currently trading below that zone right now here in pre-market. Okay. Then what I want you guys to do is go back and draw and mark up this zone between 420.17 and 420.81. Okay, yes, yesterday's low of day, but also prior daily resistance and support. 1, 2, 3, 4 times that zone's been hit, okay? It's also right in line with that prior gap fill area. That's why we had resistance here. Right? That's why we had support here yesterday. That's still going to be a valid area of support for today. Now, if we lose yesterday's low of day, let's say the market drops even lower today and we lose yesterday's low of day, and if we start cracking below 420, how much lower are we going on the SPY before we could see a nice bounce? Well, I would say coming down to the 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average is at 419.17. That would be the next area of major support here on the SPY, right? If we come back into the 200 SMA, that's an area where we could see a nice bounce. But it doesn't mean we're going to bounce. Right here, we came into the 200 SMA, and we cracked below it, then retested it as resistance before moving a little bit lower. But it's still going to be a great area to keep on watch because the last few times we've come up and hit the 200 SMA from the underneath side as resistance, we've gotten a rejection. 200 SMA resistance, big rejection, right? 200 SMA resistance, nice little rejection. Now we're coming back down into the 200 SMA as support. We could see a nice big bounce. Now, I'm not saying, hey, if the SPY comes down to the 200 SMA, buy it, go long. What I'm saying is keep that area on high watch. If we have confirmation to get long, let's get long. We know how the stock can react around its 200 SMA. We've seen it hit as resistance. Nice big drop. We took this trade here in 2022. 200 SMA resistance. Nice big drop. I remember taking these trades with you guys, right? Really good setups off the 200 SMA resistance as we were dropping on off. Same thing applies when we're pulling back into it as support. I mean, when's the last time we've even been close to the 200 SMA? It was all the way back in March, beginning of the year. So you're talking 6 months. So now we're coming straight down, pretty much straight down, not consolidating into it, but pretty much straight down into the 200 SMA. If we see the 200 SMA hold, we can see a nice bounce in the coming weeks. So that's only if we, again, lose yesterday's low of day. in this lower zone of support between 420.17 and 420.81. That would be the next lower level of support where we could see a nice bounce on the SPY. Okay, but right now we're going to have some overhead resistance up between 424.49 and 425.04. These are going to be your two main levels to keep on watch for today. If the SPY breaks this overhead zone of resistance and we move higher today, we could definitely see the SPY come back up towards around yesterday's high a day. Okay, and yesterday's high a day is saying 427.37. I don't remember the SPY getting that high. See, I don't like when that happens. Look at the daily chart. Yesterday's daily candle says we hit a high a day of 427.37. We didn't. I remember the high a day. It was 426 and some change. And you can see that that is not accurate whatsoever. So let's just go back and look left, look at yesterday. That's going to be our next area of resistance, would actually be yesterday's high a day. 426.56 to 426.65 is going to be that zone of resistance. It's not what the daily suggests. We never hit 27.37 yesterday. So, anywho, that would be the next area that we could see the SPY get to if we break this overhead zone of resistance. So here's the deal. The last couple of days, guys, I've given you lines in the sand, right? We had a line in the sand here on Monday. Beautiful trading day. We had a line in the sand yesterday, right there. Nice, beautiful opportunity to the short side. Today, I can't really give you a line in the sand because we don't have one. What do I mean? Yesterday, we were opening and sitting right at a key area, a make or break level for the SPY at the start of the day, as far as, hey, we get to see some nice upside or we get a crack and move lower at the start of the day. Based on where we're opening, and again, we were pretty close to market open. Right now, based on where we're at, we are right in the middle of resistance and support. I call this the zone of uncertainty. We have no idea where the SPY is going to go. Is the SPY going to push on up or drop on off at the start? No idea. We are in the zone of uncertainty, right in the middle of key support and key resistance. It's a coin toss, right? It's 50-50 on where the SPY wants to go. But we still do have, about 40 minutes until the market opens, right? And if the SPY opens close to this overhead zone, that's your line in the sand for the SPY. Okay, if we open close to this lower zone, that'll be your line in the sand to start the day. But right now, if we open right here in the middle, again, you don't really have a line in the sand. You don't really have a make or break area to play off of right when the market opens at 9:30. So what does that mean? You have to be extra patient, right? Extra patient to really wait for the market to come to you before getting short or before getting long. So with that being said, do I have a line in the sand zone right out of the gate to take a trade off of? I do not. And again, that just means you have to be extremely patient, extra patient today. Okay, so again, overhead zone of resistance, 424.49 to 425.04. Okay, if we come up into this zone and we top on out and we fail to break higher, that would be an area that I would like to play some puts off of for the leg on down. However, we always want to have an opposite plan in place just in case. What if the market doesn't push on up into that zone of resistance? What if we start to fade and fall down into this lower zone of support? Fantastic. If that lower zone of support holds on up and we see strength down there, that would be an area where I would like to play calls, okay? And so that's how we're going to start the day. If we come up into this overhead zone of resistance and stay below it, we're taking puts. That's option number one. You just got to wait for the market to come to you into that zone, okay? Game plan number two, market opens, sells off into support. We hold support and we start to bounce. That's where I play calls, okay? But I'm sure someone's asking, okay, Josh, well, what if we come into this zone of resistance, but we break above it and stay above it? Well, that's what we call a break and retest. If we come up and break that zone of resistance and pull back into it and retest it as support, well, then I would simply play calls. Where to? Yesterday's high a day. Same thing applies to the downside, because I'm sure someone's thinking, okay, Josh, what if the market opens, comes into that lower zone of support, but it fails to hold it? What if it cracks below it and stays below it? Well, that's what we call a crack and retest. We'd be cracking support, retesting as resistance. That's an intraday short opportunity. If that's what we see at that point in time, right, we'll simply look to take some puts on down to where? the 200-day moving average. Okay, guys? So I know that's not what everybody wants to hear. Like, man, Josh, Monday you gave me a line in the sand. I took a trade and made money. Yesterday you gave me a great line in the sand area. I made $600. Josh, I want my line in the sand. I want that game plan. I want to execute something right at the start of the day. Well, I'm not going to put my name behind a subpar opportunity. Because if I just give you a subpar opportunity just to give something, make you feel good, you take it and it's subpar and you lose money, I don't want that. I don't want you guys losing money. I want you guys making money. And so here's the reality. Some days you come in, you're on your hands. You're hands off. You're just watching the market. That could be today, and that's what it seems like right now based on where we could be opening. But again, we'll come back and take a look at the SPY closer to market open. But a day like yesterday, the market opens, and you are getting confirmation for a trade right at the start of the day, right? You're hands on. You're taking advantage of the opportunity. You're making money. Today's just one of those days that I come in, and I ask myself, like, Josh, do I want to take any trade right at the start of the day based on location, based on where we're at? Not really. So the last thing I'm going to do is say, yeah, just go ahead and get long, guys, and then you guys get destroyed. I'm not getting long. I'm not getting short. What am I going to do? How am I looking to make money? Well, I'm going to be extremely patient today. We got a lot of data. 9:45, okay? That could move the market. 10 o'clock data, definitely going to move the market. So right now, my mindset, right, based on where we're at and how much data we have leading up to 10 a.m. is I'm going to be hands off. I'm going to be looking at penny stocks, right? I'm going to be looking at small cap opportunity and see if there's any opportunity over there, right? If we are right in the middle of these zones on the SPY, I know I'm going to be hands off until 10 o'clock, all right? Let the market move. Let that data drop at 10 o'clock. Let's get some reaction. Let's get some movement. Let's get a sense of direction, and then simply let's go from there, right? Successful trading is not about who makes money first. Successful trading is about who closes the day green profitable, right? Not even green and profitable, but who closes the day strong. Not who comes in and makes $100 first, but who walks away with a successful, ideally profitable day. But at least you can't say it was a bad trading day. So again, who cares if you're the first one to make money? Sometimes the best opportunities come at 10:30. Sometimes the best opportunities come at 11 o'clock. Right? And you got to be willing to sit back, be patient, and wait for those opportunities to come to you when they present themselves. All right? So, obviously, if you're on TikTok and YouTube getting the breakdown, you're like, but Josh, I was hoping for a day number 3 of what is the game plan? Right? Well, I don't really have one established yet because I need to see the market move a little bit more. I need to see this data drop. We got to get past 10 o'clock, more data. And then from there, I will start building a plan for myself, and then I'll share that with my community and my students. Once I am confident in my own plan that I'm willing to execute, then I'll share it. But right now, I don't have anything on the SPY besides I'm going to be patient, I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to see where the SPY goes at the start of the day. Through this data, the first 30 minutes, then let's attack it. Let's go from there. All right, guys? So those are your main zones to keep on watch here on the SPY, okay? Now, before we move on to the Qs, or even if anybody wants to look at the Qs. Half the time, we always trade the SPY anyway. Do we have any questions whatsoever regarding the SPY analysis, the levels, the breakdown, and my analysis, and my game plan? Like, why am I sitting back on my hands? Do we have any questions before we move on? Travis, your support zone on the SPY was spot on yesterday. Yeah, man. I have to say that I am very good, really accurate, and really good at identifying high probability areas of support resistance, supply and demand, to where we come into one of these zones, something happens. And that's why, 80% of the time, these zones and these areas are pretty much spot on, nearly to the penny. And yesterday was one of those days. 426.50 was our hedge pressure, weekly hedge pressure. It was the top end of our bear zone, right? It was our top end of our redistribution zone. And it was a daily zone that we identified, in pre-market with you guys. It was beautiful. And that was our high a day before we dumped straight to the downside. So, yesterday was a freaking phenomenal day overall. And that's why we were taking puts in the market yesterday. And again, that's why, right, we had traders make just amazing profits. I mean, yesterday was a big day. You had Zach locking in some great profits. You had Kevin coming on in with some profits. You had Corey. I know they're talking a little bit here. But, I mean, overall, it's just been an amazing couple of days inside of the market, guys. Traders have been coming in absolutely crushing it, right? Just having a stellar start to the month of October, right? But, yeah, anyway, yesterday was a really good day. All right, so questions, no questions. Yeah, I think I summed it up pretty well. Put a lot of emphasis on be smart, be patient, sit back, and just wait. I know that's not what you want. You're like, man, I want that trade out of the gate, especially if you're on YouTube or TikTok. It's like, well, this doesn't really benefit me today. Well, I know, yeah. But when the market sets up and the opportunity's there, we will make sure you guys crush it inside of chat. So we'll make it happen, all right? So let me ask you guys this. Does anybody want to review the cues? You know, again, I'm primarily watching the SPY today. Does anybody want to take the time to review QQQ? If not, we will do some stock requests, right? Anybody has a ticker request that they want reviewed, I'll go ahead and review that for you before we end our morning session. Yeah, so Austin, I've been having some issues over on Rumble getting a live stream going. So come next week, I should have everything set up. But we're just running into some technical difficulties this week on Rumble. So for now, we're just on YouTube. Right now, we're over on Twitter. And right now, we're on Facebook as well, I think. So anybody in chat needs some QQQ analysis? If not, we'll do some ticker requests. And make sure you guys are all set with the stocks that you will be watching for the day. Kevin, I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking you should have held a runner, but don't beat yourself up about it. Just build a plan around holding runners on your trades. That's it, right? Nothing wrong with thinking, hey, man, I wish I would have held a runner. Well, just hold a runner next time. Build a system around trading and holding runners, okay? And that's all you need to do, just build a system around it. And then you'll be able to hold runners more often and capitalize on bigger moves. So nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Microsoft MSFT. Let's take a bit of a peekaroo here, Mr. William on Microsoft. Don't mind me being quiet, just super dialed in. All right, cool. So, and let's get yesterday's close as well. Dope. All right, cool. So we got daily zone of support off of yesterday's low of day as well, prior zone of support, and then we got yesterday's close. So here are your zones. Mr. William, go ahead and get these zones marked up. 309.48 to 310. So 309.48 to 310. Then we're going to go up to 311.24 to 311.59. Then what I want you to do is mark up yesterday's close at 313.39, just a solid line. And then finally, I want you to come up and mark up this zone right here between 314.98 and 315.18. Go ahead and get those zones marked up. That should be good. Let's go right into a 5-minute time frame. We are pushing above that upper zone. Back to the daily. All right, so we are pushing above this upper zone. So that is going to be a line in the sand, boss, right? That is a very significant area of prior daily support. Resistance, support. I mean, look at how many times we've hit it. 6 times in the past couple of weeks. So this zone right here between 314.98 and 315.18 is your line in the sand. That is your make or break here on Microsoft. You hold above it. Where can Microsoft go? I want to give you a realistic target. I would say back up here into this prior swing high, but I don't think that's super realistic. I want to give you a super realistic target. Okay, and I think this is going to be a good realistic target here. We'll run it off that high, low, low, low. Yep, that's it. Right there. Boop. Yep. I would say a super realistic target prior to getting back up to like yesterday's high a day would be this zone between 318.84 and 319.45 would be a good overhead realistic target to the upside. So here's the game plan, right? If we open above this line in the sand zone and we are trading above it and staying above it, we can see Microsoft push higher today. Where to? The next overhead area of resistance, that zone between 318.84 and 319.45, okay? However, right, if we say open below it and then stay below it, that's when you're thinking about playing some puts. Where to? Back down to yesterday's close of 313.39. Then this lower zone between 311.24 and 311.59. So it really depends on what happens at the zone. You open above it, you stay above it, you play calls. You open below it, you stay below it, you're looking to play some puts on down, okay? But you could open above it and crack and retest below it, and that would be confirmation for puts, right? Even if you open above that zone, but if you crack that zone and retest it as resistance, that's a great intraday crack and retest to play puts off of to the downside. And same thing applies if we open below that zone and break above it, pull back and retest it as support, that would be great confirmation to play some calls. So you can see that you have a really nice line in the sand. You know, one of four things could possibly take place at that zone. And again, you just got to wait for something to take place, something to present itself at that zone of support or resistance, right? Why do I say support or resistance? Well, because we still got about 35 minutes until the market opens, right? 35 minutes is a long time for anything to happen. So that's going to be our key area that we want to keep on watch right now leading up to market open. See how Microsoft is going to be opening, and then really go from there and wait for there to be a solid opportunity to take place at that very strong zone of support or resistance. Like I said, depends on where we open at 9:30, but that's going to be the key area for you to keep on watch. That's your line in the sand. In either way we look at Microsoft, whether we see that level hold and we push higher, or we see that level get rejected and we drop lower, there's still a lot of great potential to the upside. There's still a lot of great potential to the downside as well. All right, so those are going to be your main key areas here on Microsoft, and then your line in the sand. Once again, that make or break is that 314.98 to 315.18 here on Microsoft. Do we have a possible mid-candle breakout on Pixie, P-I-X-Y? Let's go take a look at the good old Pixie. Yeah, that would be a possible mid-candle breakout. Absolutely, over on P-I-X-Y. So let's go ahead and mark up yesterday's low of day. Let's go ahead and mark up yesterday's close, yesterday's open. We're actually going to use a zone on that. So we're going to run it off last Wednesday's high a day, and then yesterday's open, that zone between 138 and 140. And then let's go ahead and mark up yesterday's high a day. All right? And we know the best of the best mid-candle breakouts gap down on day number 3, below the second day's low. What was yesterday's low of day? 114. The best mid-candle breakouts will gap down below the prior day low of day. So are we going to be gapping down below 114? We're not. That doesn't mean this can't be a good mid-candle breakout. We just know the best of the best mid-candle breakouts will gap down and then break. And that's where the volume really starts to move on in. Not to say that we can't start to break yesterday's close and start to see that volume move in, but we know the best of the best will typically gap down on day number 3. And again, we still have about 32 minutes until the market opens. Anything can happen. So right now, let's assume market opens. 9:30, ding, 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 and this is where we're at. You'll have 114 support off yesterday's low of day. The area that you need to break to see buyers really move back in is breaking yesterday's close. And I'm actually going to readjust this with a zone as well. We're going to run that off of last Wednesday's close, and we're going to run it down into yesterday's close. So the zone of resistance that you would need to break prior to really seeing some buyers move on in is going to be this overhead zone of resistance between 131 and 132. Last Wednesday's close and then yesterday's close. So if we see PIXY holding at least yesterday's low of day and we break that zone, that's where volume is most likely to move on in. Where can we see PIXY go to? Well, we would have some room up towards around 138 to 140, so it's kind of limited into your first target, right? You can see that you're only going to have about maybe 7 to 8 cents of upside potential into your first target. But if we can break that zone as well, that zone between 138 and 140, that's when you have some nice upside. That's when you can see PIXY get up to 163 and then possibly back up to Monday's high a day at 206. So it's got some work to do, right? PIXY's got a little bit of work to do here. We got a couple zones we have to break. We know that volume is most likely going to move in if we break that 131 to 132 zone. You do have more resistance overhead between 138 and 140. So again, you're limited to the upside. But if we can break that zone as well, that's when we have a lot of opportunity on up to 163 and then potentially Monday's high a day right around 206 there on PIXY. All right, but yes, potential mid-candle breakout, looking pretty decent. Keep this one on high watch above yesterday's low of day of 114. And all you need to see is that break of that 131 to 132 zone and really just make sure that volume starts to step on in. All right. Anybody else? It's 9 a.m. So we usually do about, again, we get the SPY review. If we have queue requests inside of chat, we'll do a queue review as well. But mainly it's just the SPY, getting the full breakdown on the SPY, and then doing ticker requests with students inside of chats. And if we don't have any requests inside of chat, then I'll look over on YouTube and get you guys' requests going as well. Would Pixie have a split this week affecting a mid-candle breakout? PIXY, when's the split? PIXY. Depends on when the split is. Has the split already taken place? It said 4 days ago, Shift Pixie postpones reverse split 2 weeks due to CEO's donations of shares. So PIXY postponed a 1-to-24 split to October 14th from September 30th. So it never took place on September 30th. The split will take place on October 14th. Well, that's what I'm seeing here. 1-to-24 reverse split was set for September 30th, but it's now set the split on October 14th. And normally what you'll see is a little icon on your chart when the split's taken place. I don't see an icon on the chart indicating there was a split that's taken place. Go back and look at Tesla. So you get that little icon that indicates there was a stock split, right? That's just an example would be, Tesla. But typically you'll get a little split icon or a reverse stock split, little icon on charts indicating that there was a split. So all I can tell you from what I have right in front of me is they postponed that stock split, right, to October 14th. Well, Johnny, do me a favor, boss. Go ahead and go to Google, type in reverse stock split calendar, and do some research, boss, right? See if that's accurate. Right? Did they have a split? Is that legitimate? Is TD Ameritrade effed up? Right? Is TradingView effed up? Did they still split when the press release says it's going to happen on October 14th? Who knows? There's a lot of misinformation. The only way to truly find out when the split is or when the split happened is go to the reverse stock split calendar and look up PIXY. If they've already split, it'll be on the calendar from the last couple of days. If they haven't split yet, you'll see it on the calendar coming on up. That is the only way to truly know and truly understand if it happened or not, without relying upon your broker for the data. Kevin, if your DMs aren't going through after hours, it's probably because our system automatically logs everybody out into the day, right? So if you ever notice you're trying to send a DM, it's not going through, refresh the chat room. You'll most likely see that it requests that you log back in. That's probably going to be the issue on that. TD shows 10, 2, and 6. Yeah, so let's just do some research. Go to Google, type in reverse stock split calendar. NASDAQ stock split calendar. Let's go find a symbol, PIXY. I don't care about TradingView or TD Ameritrade. I care about with the exchange, has that split actually taken place? So here we go, PIXY. Not even showing there. All right, let's go back and just look at the calendar itself. Well, it doesn't even give me a more or less. So let's go back out of NASDAQ. You said it was on October 2nd. I'm looking, I mean, there's just so much noise here on. What was that? They said the 17th, 16th. So I still see on the calendar PIXY is set for the 16th. So I'm not sure what to say. All I would say, to go back to your general question, if there was a split taking place today, well, it would absolutely affect the mid-candle breakout, for example, right? Let's say that this is how we closed yesterday, but then the split takes effect today. Well, that's going to absolutely affect the technical setup if there was a split, right? But if the split was going to take place tonight or tomorrow, we still have a full day for this mid-candle breakout to play itself on out, right? So I wouldn't say that the splits would necessarily affect a mid-candle breakout unless the split was happening the day of the mid-candle breakout setting up, right? But if it's tomorrow or next week, it shouldn't affect it because mid-candle breakouts are normally just 1 to 2 day setups. Usually you get it the first day. Sometimes you get follow through day 2, but normally it's a one and done kind of thing. It's the first day you get the mid-candle. It's either a one and done. Make sense? Cool, cool, cool. All right. So you guys got the game plan on the SPY. You know exactly what to expect, why we're really, you know, hands off, waiting for the market to open, getting through all of this data the first 30 minutes and going from there, right? Top pennies that we'll be watching. Number one, FRLN, right? We already had a trade this morning here on FRLN. It was a really nice trade. I actually was 1 for 2 on this. Nice little 50% win rate, but still up about $430 on the day. You had Johnny Holmes come in this morning, absolutely crush it as well with some great profits. And first trade was a higher low break of this downtrend. We had a downtrend here on FRLN, and I was looking for a slightly higher low break of this downtrend above this support zone. So as we started to see this support zone holding, and we start to open on this next candle and push, I got in, but the second we got rejected, I closed it quick. I lost $108 on that trade. But then we noticed it never dumped on off. We actually then started to push on up, and we started to break that downtrend. Back through that zone of support that we cracked below, we got right back through it, closed above the downtrend. I jumped back in on FRLN and run up for a nice $500 profit. So started my day down $100. It set up literally 2 minutes after I closed that first position, and that was the winner. We were able to grab about, you know, $530 on the trade, which offset the $100 loser, and it put me up $430 on the day. Nice little trade there on FRLN this morning. And so that's still going to be a stock that I'm watching today above $5. As long as FRLN stays above $5, I see potential back up to $7 and then potentially $8.75 here on FRLN. but we have to hold $5. And so that's it. If we hold above $5 today on FRLN, I will be looking to place long. It's a good opportunity. Assuming there's a good setup, I'll look to play FRLN long as we're holding at least above $5, as I see potential back to 7 and then possibly 875. Okay? And that's pretty much it. Literally, FRLN, really good press release. The stock looks good. Nice opportunity, in my opinion. It's up 44%. It's trading 5 million shares on average. It trades about 400,000 shares, so we're trading 12x. Great press release as well. The technicals, pretty decent. I like its location. It looks good above 5. You know, this is the one small that I'll be watching today, guys. All right. So today is not like a super hot day where it's like we got 5 option plays on watch. We got 5 penny stocks that are ripping. The SPY is going to be opening up at a line in the sand area. Today's a patient day, in my opinion. Like, based on the opportunity that I'm seeing in pre-market, based on my assessment, based on what we have in pre-market, today to me seems like a hands-off kind of day, right? At least at the start. There's only one penny stock that I want to watch, FRLN, above $5. I already know I got to be really patient and get through all of this data on the SPY. Okay, and then I take a look at my options watch list. Nothing really stands out to me. I went through 50 stocks this morning, and nothing stands out to me right now for a trade today. I mean, there's stocks that I'm watching for possible trades coming into the end of the week, maybe into next week. But I mean, right at the start of the day, great trades. I'm not really seeing a whole lot that stands out to me. And it's rare this happens. But when I come in and I don't really see anything that stands out to me, I know that I have to be extremely patient today. And the last thing I want to do is give back my nearly $2,000 of profit over the past 2 days. So far, I'm averaging pretty close to my new daily goal that I want to hit. And so why do I want to come into the market when I think it could be subpar and just get chopped out and give some of those profits back, right? I'm mindful. Market looks okay. It's decent. Maybe there's opportunity, but right at the start of the day, I don't really see a lot. Really amazing setups, I don't really see a lot. So today, I just know I have to be really patient and sit back and really make sure the market moves well and make sure there's amazing opportunity, all right? Other than that, guys, I'll be watching Netflix the rest of this week as it's consolidating above its 200-day moving average. If we see something like we saw on AMD, right, where AMD comes down into the 200 SMA and then has a nice bounce. If we see Netflix set up similar to AMD where we come down and really grind that 200 SMA for 2-3 days, I'll be looking for a possible short-term entry back up to $400 ahead of earnings on Netflix. Again, just expecting to see Netflix hold above its 200 SMA and possibly bounce ahead of earnings, again, back up towards around $400. That'd be a nice little day trade opportunity on Netflix. So we'll keep that on watch. But is there an opportunity to jump in right now today? No, but it's definitely something I want to watch today, the rest of this week, and the next week. And if it ever sets up like set up, I would happily look to take a trade here on Netflix. Other than that, you got Domino's. I missed this one yesterday. I've been waiting for months for DPZ, Domino's Pizza, to get below 375 and start filling this daily gap to the downside. Been waiting months. Feels like months. Well, it has been months. Shit, when did we gap up? It was July. So July, August, September. Yeah, it's been months. And I was not paying attention to it yesterday. And honestly, even in hindsight, looking at DPZ yesterday, I don't even see a trade that I would have gotten in personally, just to be honest with you. So the only reason I'm watching it is if we do come down to 351.75 today. That was a pretty big drop yesterday, wasn't it? If we see another day to the downside and we come down to the lower end of that gap level at 351.75, what could we see take place here on DPZ? What kind of setup and what kind of strategy would it be? Catherine, Tesla, yes, there is a little bit of a head and shoulders on Tesla. I was looking at that one this morning. But if we do continue to drop lower on DPZ and come down into that 351.75, what kind of intraday strategy could we have represent itself on DPZ and why it's worth watching here over the next day or two? Exactly. It could be a nice daily gap fill bounce, right? I missed the entry for the daily gap fill short, but if we come down and close the gap, we could see a nice bounce, right? Few points, 5 points, 10 points. Really just depends on when we get there and what kind of plan that we have built. But yeah, I definitely want to keep DPZ on watch down towards around that 351.75. And if we ever come down into that lower level inside of this gap and we hit it and we set up intraday for a trade, I would be interested in looking at getting long here on DPZ. Maybe a day trade that turns into a small swing trade. We'll have to see how it's moving at the time, how the spreads look. I mean, you take a look at this thing on a 1 minute time frame. It's probably not going to be an enjoyable stock to trade on a 1 minute. Probably going to be just solely looking at the the higher time frame. Be mindful of the spread, right? Take a look at those options. Make sure the options are relatively nice. If the spreads are garbage, right, on the options, you may just have to take shares if you have the account to do so, if you want to take this particular trade. So again, there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of things that we got to be mindful of if and when the stock sets up. But I do want to keep it on watch, because if we do come down to that 351.75, there's a high probability chance that we see a daily gap fill and then we see that bounce to be able to at least grab a few points intraday out of that move. Okay, so Joe, 100% bro, the daily gap fill bounce. And then Catherine saying Tesla, do we got a head and shoulders? We do. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. But here's the thing with me and head and shoulders formations, right? The head and shoulders completely different than anybody else. I mean, Matt actually trades it the same way I trade it. And he traded it the same way I traded it well before I even knew Matt. But I see a head and shoulders formation forming. Like right now. Hey, possible head and shoulders. So I say, okay, where's the left shoulder? Right there. Where's the head? Right there. Where do I want to get shorts? If you guys know how I teach you how to trade a head and shoulders formation, where do I want to start thinking about getting short? We know what everybody else teaches you. Everybody else will teach you to draw a neckline, and then if we crack the neckline, get short. So they're going to tell you to get short way down here at like 244, 243, right? Wait for the neckline to crack. That's short confirmation. Okay, cool. Where do I teach you guys to get short? That gives you the least amount of risk and the highest amount of reward, and also increases your probabilities of that trade being correct. Where do I personally start getting involved on the head and shoulders formation? Not based on the textbook, not based on all the YouTube videos you've seen. Exactly. As we see the right shoulder developing. So I want to see the right shoulder develop at the same price level as the left shoulder. So what did I do? I came and I marked up, right, this left shoulder. Resistance, resistance, resistance. It just so happens to be our gap up low of day as well. We hit it here, we hit it here. This is a valid zone of resistance. It just so happens to be this high that creates the left shoulder. So for me, I want to see Tesla get back up into that zone of resistance, which would be the left shoulder high. That zone would be between 259.23 and 261.22. That's when I start thinking about getting short. If we come up and hit that zone and we're tapping it, I'm like, all right, well, the stock came up into that zone and we see it getting rejected. We see it failing to break above within the price action, that it's coming up into that zone of resistance, the same area where we formed the left shoulder, and we clearly see it struggling to move higher. That's where I start thinking about getting in, right? I'll get in right there as that right shoulder's developing, right? It's a boom or bust trade, right? If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I get in as that right shoulder is developing, assuming we have good price action and really solid confirmation. I put my stops over that area of resistance. First target is actually where most traders are finally getting in. My first target is the neckline, right? And if it actually plays on out, then I just have so much more room to the downside. You can see how much low risk, high reward I have, right? Entries at the right shoulder as it's developing, stops right above it. My first target is the neckline, and that's where most retail traders are entering. So if we come on down and hit that neckline, and we fail to follow through lower and we start to push on back up, guess what? I have all of this breathing room, right? I'm already at a great place. My risk is really low. I can take profit at the neckline. If it doesn't work out, hey, guess what? I have so much breathing room to where I can manage the trade properly. Or you could be, the typical retail trader, I guess, and do what everybody else says to do and get shorts when it cracks the neckline, okay? So now you have limited downside and you have a lot more risk. And so let's say it comes down, cracks that neckline, you get short, but then it shoots straight up. You have no breathing room. You have no wiggle room. You have all of this heat that you're taking on this trade because you're getting in where 95% of other traders get in, right? Especially if it's a pattern, a head and shoulders, a bull flag, ascending triangles, right? Do not trade these retail trading patterns based on how the book teaches you. Trade them differently. Like, for example, you have an example here on Tesla, right? An example, the ascending triangle, right? A lot of traders, every trader is taught to buy the ascending triangle as it's breaking resistance. How many times have you taken an ascending triangle breakout through the break of resistance and it rug pulls on you? And you're like, son of a bitch, all these dang patterns destroying me. Where do I look to get in on the ascending triangle? I'm actually looking to trade it off the trend line back into resistance, right? So if we see that we're starting to form a possible ascending triangle, I'm getting in off the trend line, taking some profits into resistance. Comes back to the trend line and we hold, I'm adding more into resistance. If we break and move higher, guess what? I got some great entries, right? If we come on up and break and it's a false breakout, guess what? I have breathing room to get out at break even. I trade it different. I trade it as it's developing, as it's forming, right? I try and trade it strategically. And again, you can do that if you understand how to read volume, price action, all that good stuff. But again, I'm not taking it where the typical trader takes it. I'm trading it slightly differently. It's still an ascending triangle formation. I'm just trading it differently to always put myself in the best possible position and not get destroyed like a lot of traders get destroyed when trading, ascending triangles and bull flags and all this stuff, right? And these formations do work if traded correctly. And again, going back to, that head and shoulders formation on Tesla, that's basically what I'm getting at, right? You can trade it like everybody else trades it, like how the book says, get short at the neckline. But what you do is you limit your downside, right? You just limit how much reward you can get and you increase how much risk you have, right? I don't like it. And it's a lower probability setup because it's a more manipulated formation. So I want to get in on the right shoulder as it's developing because that gives me the least amount of risk, the most amount of reward, and it also increases my probabilities of at least being able to get to first target into the neckline to take profit. That's how I want to trade these setups. That's how I want to trade these formations, and that's worked for me for years, very, very consistently. So with that being said, going right back to Tesla, I got off on a little bit of a educational tangent there, but it's always good. Someone probably resonated with that. Someone probably needed to hear that. I would just wait for Tesla to get back up into that zone, Catherine. Again, we have that left shoulder resistance. That zone's between 259.23 and 261.22. If we can get back up into that zone and we top on out like we did right here, let's start getting short. Stops over that zone of resistance. First target back into the neckline. And if we follow through, guess what? We follow through, there's another $22,000 trade for you, potentially. So that's what we need to be mindful of. That's how we would be looking to trade Tesla. So where are we at right now on Tesla? You got some time, right? You got a little bit of time. They're on Tesla to even get back up into the high 258s, right? Again, I see the head and shoulders. That's how I would trade it. Some traders would say, well, I see the head and shoulders right here. It could be, right? This could be the right shoulder, but it's not a high probability setup. The high probability setup would be if we come up here and put in a right shoulder up here. That's going to be the highest probability setup. This one could still play on out, but it's not going to carry as much of those higher probabilities that you're looking for, in my opinion, right? So, again, could be the start of the right shoulder. If you like it, if you want to get involved with it, right? Because you're also sitting below the 50 SMA and the 20 EMA as resistance. That could be what holds this down to create this rider before it hits my area. You just have to go ahead and start building a plan. Like, where do you want to get in? Where's your stop loss going to be? Steel would be over this potential right shoulder. And then look left to gauge your targets and just make sure that you're taking a really good quality trade. Cool, cool. All right, 9:25. We got Tesla on watch today. Maybe DPZ for the daily gap fill bounce. Netflix, just the rest of this week to see if we ever get a proper entry near the 200 SMA like we had there on AMD. So watching Netflix. Main focus for today, right? My main watch for today. All right, number one, FRLN. Number two, maybe VVOS. We got a couple prior day movers on watch. Maybe ICU. We got BMX on watch as well. These are some prior day movers. But number one stock at the start of the day, FRLN. Right? What am I doing with the SPY at the start of the day? Nothing. Watching, observing, right? Getting more prepared, building plans, letting data drop, and then going from there. That's how I'm looking to position myself today, guys. All right, so we're about 5 minutes out. If we have any final questions, let me know. Today was an easy day. There's not an abundance of opportunity. Today's a day that you have to be extremely, extremely patient, okay? Let's go ahead and rate the market. I always like to give the market a rating, right? Obviously, we need more data. There's a lot of data that's going to drop here at 9:45, 10 o'clock, and our rating could change at that point in time. Plus, we need to go ahead and grab our hedge pressure levels for today, and we'll get those when the market opens. But right now, based on the markets, based on our analysis, based on us getting prepared, how would you rate market conditions right now? Again, you're never 100%, right? But at least make that assessment. If your assessment is subpar, make the decision to sit back. If your assessment is, F yeah, we're opening right at a key zone, I'm taking calls, then start building plans to take calls at the start of the day if you think it's an A. I think it's 50-50, personally. Catherine said C-. Steve's saying a 2. Steve Carvey saying a 3. I would give it a 50-50. I think there's going to be opportunity today, but I don't think it's going to happen right at the start of the day. So based on that assessment, right, am I going to be aggressively trading at the start of the day? No. I'm going to be more hands-off, sitting on my hands, and just watching and waiting, right? And based on that assessment, I know how to come into the day. I know how to get positioned. I know how to navigate this market to make sure I have another green day. Or if it's a red day, that it's a good red day, and I mitigate my risk, and I keep my losses small. That's what it's all about, right? The last thing I want to do is come in today with that subpar rating and give any of this back, right? Decrease my win ratio, decrease my profit factor, right? Have a red day for an unnecessary reason, and now see my daily win rate go down, right? The last thing I want to do is skew my numbers on a subpar day. Why are we doing so well, right, for October? Because we do this every day. We did this Monday. We did this yesterday, okay? Out of the gate, Monday, Tuesday, we had an opportunity. We took advantage of the market. We crushed it. Today, my rating is subpar. I'm going to be really hands-off. The last thing I want to do is come in blind, take sloppy trades, and now be, not up $1,800 on the month, but now be up 1,000. Now I have a 50% win rate, right? Now my profit factor sitting at a 3, right? Now my average win ratio is 1 to 1, right? I don't want to skew those numbers. Those are great numbers. I want to keep them where they're at. If anything, improve them. And so out of the gate, sitting on my hands. I know I'm really stressing that, but a lot of newer traders need to hear this and literally get this beaten in their head, right? I didn't have this as a new trader. I would come in, and I thought it was a race. I thought it was a competition to be the first one to make money, and I lost a lot of money. Sit back on your hands. We'll know when the opportunity comes to us. Yeah, Kevin, in response to your DM, you need to go in and change some of your settings inside of your account, account. So go to your account settings, change your chat room nickname, okay? And then if you want, you can always remove your last name if you want to. But yeah, go in there and make sure your chat room nickname is up to date. And if that is correct, but it's still showing your full name for some reason, some people it does, I'm not sure, we'll just hit up the development team and we'll get that care of for you. All right, if you guys are over on YouTube, have an amazing, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you guys had some fun this morning. Got some value, got some insight. You're a little bit more prepared for the trading day. So trade smart, trade safe, everybody on YouTube. Take care. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning at 8:30 as we kick off the pre-market rundown once again. Stay blessed, guys, and I'll see you then.